Hello, YouTube. This is Mickey D with episode 55 of Stationeers. Um, Pretty much picks up right after the last episode. I ate my dinner, came back. Um, I did notice, so we were hitting 100% on the with the new solars and the batteries. Uh, Oops. And why is that not getting power? Um, at about noon, basically, in game time. So ended up, that's really weird. Did I miss it by one? Battery input. That's strange because we've got power on that one, yet that's not showing any power. Very, very strange. Yep, that's the input right there. Well, that's really weird. Huh. Yeah. It was working earlier, and here I am stuck on the wall. Yeah, so we were hitting 100% power at about noon. So we ended up throwing another battery in. Um, and we'll see how that goes. We might need one more. I don't know why that one's not charging. We'll have to keep an eye on it. They were all charging earlier, and as you can see, we've still got 4 full batteries. Um, so we'll see. Maybe it's sending all the power to the ones that are charging. We'll find out. But that's kind of weird because it's not even lighting up like it's getting power. I could pick it up and put it back down, I guess. That's just strange. Maybe we'll try that real quick and see if it makes a difference. It might be a little bugged. Which, yeah, it's an early access. There is some weird stuff that happens like that from time to time. There it goes. Okay, so that was really weird. But anyway, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Did I up this to 6? I can't remember. Not. Yes. Okay. So in this episode, we are going to work on. Look at that. There's water. Somehow, I'm assuming when I was smelting ice earlier, it dropped onto there. So we'll have to, at some point, clean that up, I guess. Not going to worry about it right now. So that's cooling. We are going to expand the tank system. Maybe we'll do that. We might get to that tonight. Not probably this episode, maybe the next one. But we need to separate some grids. We've got most of the rooms are on a separate grid. There's a little bit of interconnection that there should not be, mainly between these two rooms. So I think what we're going to be doing is working in the dark most of the time in this episode. And let's see how many cables we have on us. We're going to grab these. And because we're probably going to use quite a few, which should be all regular cable. But basically what I'm going to do is go down, shut off most of the transformers. Let's see what we got here. So the ACs run on their own. They come right off the main line, basically, from the batteries. So they're not running through a transformer. This is our heating and cooling grid, which basically should only have heating and cooling on it. Unfortunately, I think some stuff got thrown on there that should not be on there. And we're basically running into, you can see I disconnected this one. Basically, that one wall unit was overloading that circuit. So you can see, like, we've got this light, this circuit, which is for the power. Oh no, okay, that's running off the power circuit, so which is fine. This room basically, that circuit, that light, this door, basically, and that light. tie on with the power circuit, which is fine. Um, well, except that that's running with the heaters. Um, so we've got quite a bit there. We might need to try to break that up a little bit better. And then actually that light's, oh, well, that's strange. That's tying in over there. That's tying in. Okay, so those are kind of interconnected, which they should not be. This should be getting power right off of the battery system. So there's an issue right there. And if we disconnect, okay, no. And if we rotate around, all right, what is C? That's running there. That's running to there. That almost looks like it's running off of this one. But obviously it's not because we've now shut it off. So somewhere in here, yeah, that was supposed to be running through that way. This should not be tied in. We'll have to straighten that out. Because I don't want... That's running there, which is fine. That has to be there because that's on the same circuit as that's what's controlling the wall heaters and whatnot. This, though, is the power circuit, so it should not be tied on to that system. It should be tied on with this room. So, which it should be on this circuit. Oh, it doesn't have any draw on it. That's why it's not lighting up. Okay, so we actually want this one to be here. Well, I'll probably mess with that later because that's not was the intention we were. Oh, and so we have no drain on the system now since we pretty much turned everything off. Yeah, and obviously we've gotten water down there somehow, which we'll have to take care of at some point too. So looks like the airlock is in on that as well. This is all shut off. That's good. And this cooler is not on with that circuit. I'm not sure if that... No. Yeah, that's not on with the heating and cooling either. We want that room separate since the furnace is in there. Now, that cooler's on there, which it should be. That should not be. That heater should be, which it is. The air vents should not be on with the... which obviously it is because it's running through the same circuit. So that should not be running on there. That was one of the mistakes I did make because I was thinking that those were on. Cooler is, yes, and I did not put a wall heater in here, which also reminds me I need to do steel walls in here as well. And all these should be separate. I mean, that light's on there. Obviously that heater, and I would like to move that light to a separate circuit. So it's actually not as bad as I thought it was. It looks like it's mainly these vents. And maybe like this light. And we shouldn't have anything over here except for the AC. Yeah. Okay, so we've got a little bit. I mean, it's not too bad. It's not as bad as I thought it was. Unfortunately, it means if we want to have this hooked up, we're going to have to run a line off of somewhere. And I bet that, nope, that light's actually not. So we want this to be a straight line. And we don't want the light coming off of there. And then what I want to do is I want to go through, and after we get this straightened out, we'll turn on, another circuit and get that straightened out. So this, okay, we're going to have to figure this out because this is running through, tying into the AC on the other side. We need to move this so that can go into that light. And I don't know if we have another AC that's close. Where are we going to pull off for that light? It's in the center, so it probably doesn't really matter. We don't want to have to cross over that line, so I guess we're going to pull off from this light. That'll probably work. And we'll run a junction off of this. But we'll get this straightened out, and then hopefully, because I think we're only going to be able to have like 4 on there anyway for the wall heaters, just because the circuit is going to use a bit of power itself. So we obviously can't run 5 then on one circuit, which I kind of expected, but I think we were running not quite. And I think what we'll do is we'll just turn that light around. That way I don't have to snake this all over the place. And at some point we'll hopefully have something that is decent for, I'd like to put some type of ceiling on at some point. Straight, thank you. So if we come over here and bend, that way, and then we'll come down here and we can just flip this light around, and that'll work quite a bit better, I think. And autosave. And I think we're going to have to figure out, I think we've got a few other, there we go. So that'll tie into there now. That's off of that circuit for the heating and the cooling, which is, simple enough fix, but it gets it off of there and gets it on the, and I could have swore I just had 2 of those. Ah, there it is. Nope, that's the other one from over there. Yeah, these still like randomly fall through the ground from time to time. Oh, there we go. I did lose a couple downstairs when I was doing that battery. They, for whatever reason, 1 or 2 of them ended up falling through. All right, so I think, where are we going to tie? So we've got heating and cool. Well, we've got heating there. And we don't want, so this is the one that's going to need to be changed, because this should be on with this. So the part that's going to be interesting is how are we going to get the cooling in here swapped? Or where are we going to pull that off of? Which I think we're going to just have to run out to the hallway. Okay, so there's that vent. Very good. And it's at some point, which I realized and kind of forgot about, and then just realized again, is all these AC vents are going to need to be on their own circuit, because we're going to have to set up a circuit to pressurize and depressurize the base. Yeah, so we're going to have to eventually go through and put a circuit on for that, but we're not quite there. I want to get the tanks redone, and get the cooling for those kind of revamped first. And I think we're just going to punch through the wall and come out right here, and we can hook into this this heater. I think it's the best way going to run that. And then we can switch to the next circuit. Yeah, see that? And that should not be running off of there. I think at one point, maybe I did run them all like that. No, see, that one's off. Yeah, I think the cooling I was going to put on its own circuit. Intakes and outtakes, basically. So that can probably punch through to the wall and be on the same one as that one. We'll just get up there. And I think that's the one running over there. There should be a line. That one. There we go. So that's the line. We can tie that one in with this one. And we'll leave that junction there because we're going to come up over the ceiling, go over that way. And then those will be separated. Let's go ahead and grind these out so we can get in there. All right. This is going to get a little tricky. So I think we can go right to a junction on this one. Yeah. And a straight. And then I think we can just bend and run right along. Yeah, that should work. And now we're going to run into an issue when we do the tanks. And that is, well, for one, the base is pressurized. So we might have to depressurize the base to do that. The other issue is, even if we depressurize the base, what are we going to do with everything in the tanks? So I think we're going to either have to get creative and throw some temporary tanks in. Hang on, I'm going to cough. So we're either going to have to get creative and throw some temporary tanks in, or we're going to have to I don't know, move some tanks and, you know, let stuff mix and then refilter it. And, you know, maybe I'll just put in one big tank and we'll just let everything mix. And we can just set it outside or something. And, you know, but then we're still going to have to pump everything into those. So it's going to be a little bit interesting. You know, because I don't think we're going to be able to leave the existing tanks where they are. And you know, because then I don't think that's going to work. Basically, I think it's going to not. I want to say this. I just don't think. I think it's going to be a huge hassle if we try to do that. Okay, I'll seal this back up. All right, and now we'll run a line up and over. And hopefully, I mean, I got to go through and count actually how many of these we have. I think there was 5 in the base, counting the bottom one, but I could be wrong. And I don't really want to have to do another circuit. I don't know. I was thinking about upgrading the line to be heavy cable, but obviously that's going to be a bit of an undertaking itself as well. Okay, let's do this, and we'll get this opened up. And we can get this line ran down there. Yeah, I'm hoping at some point we'll have something we can use for ceilings, so that we don't, have all this exposed. But it's not too bad. I guess it could be worse. I would just put everything inside the blocks, but then if we want to work on it, I mean, I don't mind doing that for pipes, but wiring we end up kind of messing around with quite a bit, so I don't want to have to, depressurize the bit. I don't mind running stuff on the. I sound. I hate. I don't want to run stuff where we're going to, have to constantly depressurize the base if we end up working on a system. And there we go. Okay, so we can actually clean this all up now. Should be very nice. I will change that to a corner. There we go. All right, so that is back to running again. Very good. We can button that all up, and I think that basically does everything for the heating and cooling line. That should, except for that one light in that other room. That's right, we still have that. And get that sealed up. And I've got to check, if I forget, somebody remind me, when the sun comes up, I need to check and see how low we've dropped on the battery power. Oh. And was there a sheet on the other side? Oh, right there. Okay. And we'll turn that off. Base is pressurized. Yeah, we're at 84 right now. I've got to get it automated still, but it is pressurized. It's a little warm right now, which hopefully redoing the tanks is going to address that a little bit better than how it is right now. Because the cooling is working. Okay, so we can pull off of this line and come up to that light. The question is I think, all right, we can come up from above and down below. Yeah, all the tanks are there, basically. But we're going to probably next episode is we're going to be revamping all of this. I want to put coolers in at each tank and then recirculate, so that we're not, I don't want it to be tied in before I want to be tied in at each tank, and then that way we can control the temperature at the tanks, and instead of when everything's coming in through the filtration. And I think that will work out quite a bit better than where we're at with it right now. All right. Oh, I think the sun's just coming up. Let's go see what we're at on the Oh, and of course I can't, yeah, never mind, because we have all the circuits turned off, so it's not going to be accurate. Um, we know that they're at a full charge because they're basically got almost no drain on them right now. So we're going to come up there, and then we're going to come across here. That'll separate out that light onto the other circuit. And then that, I think, is everything for the heating and cooling lines. And I think most of it the rest of it's probably pretty good. So this isn't near as bad as I thought it was. We might actually be able to get a jump start on the jetpack needs to be back on. Get a jump start on the tanks, unless there's something else I can think of that we need to address real quick. Did I grab? Yeah, I did grab the other long cables. And okay, yeah, so we'll change this to a junction. There we go. And then one last corner, and that'll be done. All right, that'll work. And let's get this, we need these picked back up. All right, close this all up. All right, so that should be the heating and cooling isolated. I just want to go through real quick. Well, what do we got? We got one, no heater over here. So two. I don't think. Nope, there's one. Three. There should be one in here. Four. And then there's the one that's downstairs that we can't run. So at the same time. And then the furnace room is on its own circuit, so that's fine. Yeah, it's kind of a bummer. I wish they need to get like a mid-grade cable that carries like, I don't know, 10,000 or something, so that we can you know, not have I mean, I guess we could just do the heavy, but all right, so we can switch over to the next circuit now. And I think for the majority, the rest of this should be okay. So if we turn, and we got an autosave. All right, so if we turn this circuit on, which was drawing up through here, it doesn't seem like, I'm going to hook it back up just in case I'm running up through somewhere, because I don't quite know why this is on its own circuit, really. Oh, jetpack's on. If I had working fire alarms and atmospheric alarms. Do they have fire alarms? I know you can make fire extinguishers. And I don't have the atmospherics on any type of an alarm system. The heating and cooling is on its own system. I've got to do a circuit for pressurizing, depressurizing the base. Oh, look at that. We ended up being a steel sheet short, unless it fell down behind. Yeah, so we did lose a sheet somewhere. Strange how that always happens. All right, so that's, okay, so that's on with that circuit. nothing in here. Nothing obviously in the airlock because the airlock's depowered. And okay, so nothing else looks like it's tied in. And we know the greenhouse is on its own circuit. So that's fine. But that's a really small circuit. Huh. I'm going to look at that a little bit closer on that one because there's something strange there. I mean, it's running that light, it's running that light, it's running that light, it's running the circuit for the power. Obviously, the power gen is on there. Maybe that was the one I was going to hook up for the vents. And for having them, because you can see obviously that runs to that vent. Yeah, maybe that's what I was going to do with that circuit. All right, let's check this one. Which is weird. Okay, so now we've turned that circuit off. Where is that getting power from? And now that I think about it, I'm pretty sure that this is the power coming in here and tying in there. That's going up to the display up top because it has to be on the same circuit. But if it's on this one and I turn it off, oh, now it's off. Okay, I guess it's just acting weird. Huh. All right. Anyway, that's strange. All right, let's go see what this is. I should put labels on those too. I should just throw a sign on top of them so, you know, I know which circuit they are. Probably make it a little bit easier. Okay, so there's the airlock. And I have a feeling that this room is tied on with the airlock. Yeah, that's fine. So we've got the machines, all the lights, the airlock. We're good. Nothing over here should be tied on. And I think that furnace room is tied on there as well. Nope. Okay, that's not tied on. Circuits are not. Nope. That's not. And then none of this should be unless I came through on here. No, so this might be tied on with the greenhouse, which we might not necessarily want. Or it's tied on with the tank room. I think the greenhouse, though. Which should be fine, because we've only got one wall heater on there and then the AC units. Okay, so that circuit's actually okay. Yeah, this isn't as bad as I thought it was. Let's turn that off, turn that on. And I think the last circuit is the greenhouse. Okay, so here we are in this room. This is very nice. Yep, and now that circuit's running. It's controlling the ACs. Now wait. Now why is the airlock still on? Okay, and this is the furnace room, which, yeah, it was fine. I intentionally put it on with that room because there's really only a wall unit and a light in here. And, yeah, that heater, which is fine because we went those on a separate circuit. But why do I have power on that airlock? I do have radiators. Yeah, I've got a huge wall of them. So was it this one that was feeding into the airlock as well? Oh, you know what? The airlock's on an APC. So that's kind of strange that it was kicking off. Maybe we drained the battery on it when we were running through. Yeah, the airlock's on its own APC, so that is going to throw it off anyway. Yeah, all the rooms have radiators going to them, and then there's a huge radiator system on the back side of this wall that's this cooling line goes to, and that's what these are all tied into. And the furnace, the output from the furnace comes down, ties into the input line, which is here, and that's got radiators wrapped around on the outside too to cool that down some before it dumps into the intake system. And then where this line and the furnace line tie in together. They come out through the wall, and it's got radiators ran all the way down until it comes in here, which is the intake. And this is the tank for the to hold if we get a massive input, so we don't blow lines. And then obviously the greenhouse and whatnot has radiators as well. All right, wait a minute. What was? Since we got distracted there, this should be the room down here. Yes, okay, yep. So this is the tank room, which is all fine. And then the last one's the greenhouse, which is probably has that room on it. And yeah, that's on an APC. That's why it's still. I must have had it long enough off that it actually drained the APC. Okay, and then we'll just check that one, which should be fine, and we should be good. Yep, so one hall light, which is fine. Yep, and then this room in the greenhouse. Okay. Oh, the uninsulated? I don't know if that works. I don't know if you have to. I think you have to have the radiator on it to cool it. I don't think you can just run. I mean, I think you can, but I think the radiators work better. But then you would get into the issue of it's going to give you less control over it. Unless you did some like type of digital valve or something, like kind of like how I have here, where I can bypass the ACs, so that and I have seen a passive cooling system where they used digital valves, and then they basically just opened the digital valves, turned on the volume pump, and you could circulate. Generally, we don't have a problem with it, and the base usually actually stays cool enough. It did not this time because the ACs run so slow in the current setup that I bypassed them. So since all the gases mixed together, it mixed everything in with the furnace, and that's why it basically ended up being like 80 degrees by the time we output. Okay, so yeah, that's actually not too bad. So that straightens out the wiring. I thought those were going to be a lot more interconnected and tied in, but really it was just some of the heating lines. We still did lose a steel plate, which is kind of annoying. I should see if one. Nope. I was wondering if maybe one ended up somewhere else and we used it, but I guess not. And we'll combine those and drop that in there. And what did I? What? Yep, one steel plate. Go patch that wall. And there we go. All right, so that pretty much straightens that out. And that is cooling ever so. It's working. It was up at 112 degrees earlier, or like 2 hours ago, basically. Yeah, so we gotta wait for the greenhouse to cool more. So with the tanks, I definitely want to switch the oxygen to a large tank, and I think I want to switch the pollution to a large tank. I'm not. Honestly, I kind of want to switch all of them to a large tank, but we're gonna have to make a massive room to do that, which is not necessarily a bad thing. It's just gonna, that'll obviously take a while. So that we're gonna have to decide on that. Where are we at? We're at 40 minutes, so we can probably get this started and then jump onto it in the next, finish it. Well, I don't know if we'll finish it, but we'll work on it in the next couple of episodes at least. So as I mentioned in the last episode, my thought is to pull out the center walls, pull out this wall, make this all one giant room. Um, because initially this was just filtration. This is what input, filtration, and then the gas storage was on the other side. Um, and I do kind of like it broken up with the filtration separate, but I think I do want to make it all one room. So my thought is that if we pull this out, pull all this out, then we can take the filters, run them probably across this way, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It might not fit. Though we could always move this over towards this side, since I initially left this pulled over this way, since we had this drop-off station basically for the tanks was there, and until I moved it over here, which works a lot better. So that might give us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That might give us another room, and we definitely got to throw another light in over there as well. Yeah, we might do that, and then that would give us room to, kind of tank. I don't know. Maybe we'll do like the 2 bigger tanks, and then maybe do the smaller tanks, and leave a kind of a space in between. It's gonna make it kind of funky because now we get that stairwell there. But obviously, we're definitely going to be tearing into it. And the only thing you have to watch is I'll probably have to go outside and fill in. There's a couple of unfilled frame blocks out there that I'm going to probably need to fill in just to make sure I don't accidentally vent the base to space, since we are pressurized. Now the question is what are we going to do with everything in the tanks when we move them? Obviously, nitrogen is not an issue. The line is empty. Anything extra is sitting in the output line for the base. So, we don't have to worry about that. But everything else, and we've got 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 50, 59, and then obviously the oxygen. So we're over 60. So we could place one large tank outside, or somewhere, pump everything into it, just let it all mix. And then once we get the whole system set up, we can run it back through the filtration system, and let it cool everything down. So basically, we're going to make a huge, giant mess of the base while we do this. Luckily, this isn't going to affect any of our machinery, so we'll be good there. And then maybe we'll have to relook at the circuits, because then we're going to have this side on one circuit, that side on one circuit, and yeah, we'll have to figure that out. So anyway, we're going to start tearing into things, I guess, and get all this stuff opened up. Make a whole bunch of tanks, and yeah, this is gonna be quite the project. But hopefully, the result will be the ACs. We're gonna get a lot more control over how we're cooling everything with this system, and it'll have to be it's gonna be kind of interesting. So, and I'm just going to kind of throw stuff over there. Well, not there. Oh, and we've got the air circulation coming in because of the filtration. I guess we're going to need to pull up flooring too, because we're definitely going to need to be able to get into all this. Yeah, this is going to be, we're going to have to watch on the wiring, because the ACs are going to have to stay on the other system. it's going to get kind of, and the filters, because they've got to be tied in with the they've got to be tied in for data on the same line as the ACs are on. So yeah, that's we're gonna have some interesting wiring going on. But hopefully the benefit of this would be we won't have issues with things either not cooling right, or, you know, it's going to give us a lot more control over it. We can cool the CO2 independently, keep it about 30 degrees for the greenhouse. And it'll hopefully give us a little bit more cooling capability or control over the greenhouse, because we won't be relying on just the wall units to cool it now. We can basically have the AC cooling the system. You know, a separate AC cooling that tank. And going to be a lot of back and forth here. Try to get all this stuff picked up, so hopefully we're not losing too much parts to the base, and or you know, having them drop through. And we're just going to kind of, oh, yeah, get some airflow there. And that is one thing we're going to have to work on, probably after we get the tanks done, is we've got to work on the inputs. And, oh, look at that, full of water. Yeah, which is, I don't know if it's when I dropped the oxides in earlier. Yeah, we can actually make a swimming pool now. Look at that. Yeah, so that, I'm assuming I dropped ice and oxides in when I did the earlier mining run today off camera, and I had not had the exhaust pipe on this hooked up, so because we'd been getting backflow from the generator running, which I was worried it was going to cause issues, which it ended up not, so I rehooked it up. But I basically came in and this was up at 31K, so I'm thinking it maybe output some. Otherwise, I don't see where all the water's coming from, because like we noticed earlier, this is also full of water. So I'm assuming some of that ice got kicked out of there and then evaporated in the base. Obviously something we're going to have to address. And I still find that funny that we have oxides sticking out through there, but they don't evaporate because they're still considered in the ground. Okay. And I'm surprised we actually had that one open. Yeah, so that's kind of interesting. I'll have to address that. Okay, let's combine those. And we'll go ahead and throw our steel sheets in. And let's grab our wrench. All right, so we're going to tear open walls. Oh, actually, let me do the grinding first. Well, that one can stay. We're going to have to work around that because obviously the stairwell's there, unless we enclose it, which is always a possibility. I don't think we have anything going through. No, there shouldn't be anything going through that wall except for maybe, oh, actually, plumbing and stuff runs through. We have some gas that runs through there. We've got some power cords. I don't think there's too much. There might be some wiring that runs through there for the for the base. So we might be able to open that up and maybe have a separate door that comes down. We might change where that door is. I don't know. We'll figure it out. And nothing. Okay, but we definitely got a lot of stuff to pull off the other wall on the other side. And, oh, which we've got to pull. Actually, this wall we should be able to leave. That wall we should be able to leave. Yeah, we don't have to pull those off. We can leave that there. All right, it's these ones we need to pull off. So I had the right tool initially. Oh, really? Battery went dead. Though I think I swapped this to a bigger battery because it's oh, we're at 100%. Where is the sun? I want to see so I don't think I think we're a little past noon. So it looks like we can still add another battery in. Since we're filling up those 6, we might, I don't know if we'll fill up 7, but we're definitely not storing all the power that we're capable of generating. So I'll have to throw in another battery as well. Looks like at some point. I will say I'm glad that we did do the expansion though, because now we're not kicking in the generator at all. And yeah, we can go ahead and pull these down. We're going to get a ton of wiring from this. And, well, I'm sure we'll probably use it all, though. All right. Oh, what is going... Oh, steel frames. Okay. All right. So, obviously, that's outside. We can't bust through that. That should line right up, so we should be able to bust through all that wall. And do we have any steel sheets? Steel sheets. All right. And let me toss. We have a ton of floor grading in here. Oh, we gotta pull out all the signs and whatnot too. I should label all the tanks too. No, I guess it doesn't really matter because we're gonna run it all through refilter it all anyway when we get it down to temperature. I'm trying to think of how we're gonna want to pull out of all that. I guess we're just going to. We could probably just connect all the lines together on the other side. That might be yeah, we could probably connect them all together on the filtration side. Hey, Michael. So right here, we could actually just tee, all these lines together right here, and then that would interconnect all the storage tanks, and we could. Oh yeah, yep, yeah, it's going to be fun. I did throw another battery in off camera, so and we actually need one more. We're actually hitting 100% before the a little past noon, so we can do one more battery, which I'll probably do that again off camera. Yeah, I want to get filter. I want to run an AC for each tank, and then that's gonna, I think, work out a lot better than having the separate AC system. But we're gonna have to. Yeah, we're gonna have to figure out how we're gonna lay it out. It's gonna be a little interesting. I have a feeling there's probably gonna be maybe a couple of false starts as we try to figure out how we're gonna lay everything out. What's gonna fit where. I'm hoping we don't have to move this circuit. Which, if we have to, we have to. But oh, did you put yours outside? The level you should set the temp for what, the cooling or the oh, Yeah, that's one of the reasons I want to keep them separate, though, so I can, we'll cool the CO2 to the 30 degrees Celsius, since that's kind of what we're aiming for the most part in the greenhouse. All right, now we need the grinder again. Hydrogen, I think as long as it's not really hot, since I think that's part of the issue we're running into is it's basically spontaneously combusting, is what I think is going on. Though I'm not 100% positive because we're not seeing it on the fuel mixture for the furnace. So it's kind of strange. Um, but I would say just aim for, you know, like 30 or something, or 20. Yeah, actually, you can put it as 20 because it's an ice, so it's always going to come in cold. So if you put it at 20, you're not going to have to heat it up as much as 30. And my thought is oxygen we're going to heat up to 20 because that's basically what we're aiming for in the base. Same thing with nitrogen. Um, uh, Carbon dioxide set at 30. Water, I'm not really sure. I guess 20, 30. I don't think there's any temperature difference between, I don't think that affects the greenhouse. Though you never know, they might make it later on. And then obviously your pollution and your yeah, I think pollution is the only, and then all your volatiles are going to come in cold too because they're coming from the ice. Well, yeah, hydrogen. Um, and then the pollution, which that probably doesn't really matter because anytime really you actually use it is it's in a radiator system. So I guess it just depends if you want it to be pretty much ready to run, right as soon as you fill it up, or if you're going to wait. So I personally I'm going to set everything at 20 except for the CO2, which I'm going to set at 30. All right. Wow, that's a lot of pipes. And I might actually mine this now at some point because it looks kind of funny, especially if we're not going to have walls there. Um, Hang on. Oh, um, that is true, but if you have it too low when you put it in, if you're going to use it for your suit, then you spend more energy because you have to heat it up, to maintain the 20 degrees in your or the 20.5 or whatever in your suit. So like you see where mine's fluctuating a bit, I believe the gas is a bit hot, so it's constantly running the suit AC to cool it. So that does factor in because the more that has to run is it's gonna affect how long your suit battery lasts. All right, so how do we want to do this? I guess I'm gonna connect these three up, really. Um, and oh, you know what? We need to shut off. We need to shut off the O2. Otherwise, it's going to try to pump it into here. So we need to shut off that mixer. And we'll just shut off the circuit. And then I won't try to run it. And we can leave that the oxygen, nitrogen. We don't have to worry about contaminating it as soon as we tie everything together. And we can turn off these pressure regulators that should be, well, that's all we got at night, which I have to go collect uh, oxides or water because we need nitrogen. We've also got to see about how to get that water up off the floor. And I think we can run a filter with water in it, and it will. Well, it should already be doing that though. because we're filtering everything out of the base atmosphere except for oxygen and nitrogen. Okay. Yeah, see, this gas was a little bit warmer, so now my suit's bumping up to 22. And we can put that back on there. All right, so now we won't contaminate any of that, which is good. The only thing we might contaminate now is the CO2 for the greenhouse, because that runs down through. And the way we can do that is, since this is obviously too hot anyway, we can just depressurize it, and it will dump back into the system. And one of these days we will actually work on that circuit, which is the reason I have the floor tied up. Or pulled up. Okay, so that'll pump back in now. And slowly drain this room. And then I'm trying to think, because there's the filter's going to come through. So yeah, it shouldn't. Once we dump out the system, it won't. There's no oh, yeah, that's fun. I ran into that a few times where I think the first time when I pressurized the base, I accidentally contaminated the oxygen supply, because I had the airlock dump into the oxygen supply and not dump into, the base. So I wasn't thinking about it. And you use a welder or jetpack in the airlock, and basically contaminated everything. So I had to dump it all out for that. I think there's another time we had to dump it out too. I can't remember, but I do want to, and maybe something with this is we've got to do something about the intakes. And I don't quite like how the base air filtration set up, so might be just running more vents for that. I don't know. We'll figure out. Oh, I forgot to pressurize that. Yeah, okay. So let me see now. So we shouldn't contaminate anything to the point that when we drain the system, it's going to keep the contamination in there. We're not running this, so it shouldn't pump anything into there. We should be pretty good. So we should be able to join those lines up now. And let me pick these up. All right. Go grab some plumbing, or I guess piping, I should say. And 20 should be enough. All right. So we should now just be able to disconnect these. Oop, no, it's not. Pull off the roof of the building. That would be very bad. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that happens. Yeah, I find it kind of annoying that they'll pull from whatever you're filtering if there's not enough pressure in the waistline. I really just wish it would just air out and not run. Yeah, yeah. That gets to be quite kind of, oh, not a 6-way. We need a 4-way, or a junction. Okay. There. So everything is tied in with everything else. Which I should just shut off the base filtration for now. If I was smart, I would have made sure it was shut off before I turned everything off, but that's all right. Since we're going to have to pull all these up anyway. So we'll need to make a big tank, put that somewhere. And, oh, it's not going to let me turn them off. That's all right. As long as we stop them. All right. So those are now all tied together. We'll have to figure out, let's see, what do we need? 5 tank kits, I think, to make a big tank, which I would believe that one big tank is going to hopefully be enough. And we might have to put steel in here. Tank kit, tank kit, tank kit. Kit. Pipe tank. Okay. Steel. Yep. Oh, the volume tank? Or the volume pump? Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, it seems to work great for some stuff. And I've heard it the same thing with the pressure regulators. As somebody put in a report in that the more pipes you have up to a pressure regulator, the faster it works. Oh shoot! I put the steel back in there. I didn't want to do that. So I don't know if that's a if that's a bug. It was a report I saw earlier today, and unfortunately, the devs are not as active as they were on the Steam forums. They're mostly communicating through. We're gonna need a lot more steel too. Yeah, we're gonna need copper in there. I think I threw. There we go. So yeah, I don't know, because I noticed, I kind of noticed that on the what do I want to say, on the when I had the furnace, because I have a volume pump hooked up to that. I don't want 30 tanks. Yeah, I know. If I do all of them, yeah, I'm going to. That's why I was saying we're gonna need more steel. Large tank. Yeah, huge, huge, huge. Where is the? So we've got data. We've got, and I'm assuming same thing. They've got one input line. And I'm hoping that we have an empty spot. If not, we'll just throw this thing outside. Oh, I see green. Which we could just stick it in the corner. We're going to probably kind of block that light, but... Oh, that's kind of weird. Why is that green? It's clipping through. That shouldn't be green. That's interesting. Yeah, that's really weird. That should not have been able to build it like that. Well, I know. Even if it's upside down, though, it shouldn't have built through the floor. I just don't know why it let me place it there. Yeah, now it's not gonna. That's weird. So if you place it upside down, that would be kind of, that's a little cheaty. I wouldn't actually want to do that because I could just see, they fix it and then all of a sudden I load the world and things explode. Oh, you know what we can do? We can put this outside on the waistline that we've never used. Because I believe, let me check in here. I think when we tied all the lines together, we tied in, nope, there's the waistline. So we can add in one more, tie in that waistline, and we'll throw it out there. And then we're going to put a volume pump and pump everything out into it, which we'll probably need to make a volume pump. Unless we have... Oh, we could steal this one, because we're going to have to revamp all this. No, I'll stick one out there. Because if we pull it up there, we're still going to have to make one, because we're going to have to put one back. Either way, when we hook up the new system. Volume pump. Oh. Yes. But, yeah, that is weird. So if you place it upside down, it clips through. I'll have to put a report in for that. And let's go grab some piping. We might not need the piping, but I don't want to not bring it and then need it. Since we're obviously going to have to go through the airlock. But, yeah, this will let us get the system drained, and then we can tear out and figure out how much space. I'm hoping we can do this without depressurizing the base. And yeah, we're going to have to make more steel. Because I think that used most of it to make one tank. Because it's what? It's 20 per, so we need 100 steel per one large tank. Now, granted, we have, what, 6, 7? We have 7 small tanks right now, so there's one big tank. I guess the debate is going to be is whether or not we just do 2 large tanks or if we do them all large tanks. You know, I can just see that, especially if we start having, like, you know, a spaceship eventually, we're going to, and if it's going to be running off of hydrogen, then we're going to be using a lot more, obviously collecting a lot more. I'm assuming they're going to be rebalancing all of these because, you know, right now we don't get near enough nitrogen or carbon dioxide, really. So they're going to have to do something, especially, and I need to fill those in. And let me see if we tie, this is our waistline. Oh, we can probably just set it right here. Actually, I want to run it out as far as I can because if we have to change, you know, if we have to push out the wall or something, I don't want to run into the issue where the tank's not far enough away. Oh, autosave. And then we end up having to drain it and move it and, you know, build another tank, and that would just be a hassle. So I am going to, and we can, oh, let's actually pull off that corner. We don't need that corner there. We're gonna pull this out. Let's see what we got. 30 something pipes. So we're just gonna basically pull this out as far as we can. So that if we do have to some reason push out, we know it's not going to be in the way. Because that's really the last thing I want to have to deal with. And we're going to have to actually put that volume pump on the inside, I guess. Since otherwise we're going to have to run power all the way out here somehow. Oh, good thing this is a relatively, well, no, we're not so much of a flat spot now. Can we still get, yes. And I don't know if that's intentional that you can do that or not, if it's something they're going to have to fix. All right, we might just call that good, because otherwise I'm going to have All kinds of issues getting that out of there. And that's how you get pipe buried underneath the ground. One more there. And a large tank. I wish they kind of had displays on there. All right, so we'll go back inside. I guess we can go ahead and pull off that passive. Yeah, we'll leave it there because we're going to have to hook it back up eventually anyway. And then what we'll do is we'll put a volume pump on the inside. To pump that line out. Yeah, I'm glad that this seems to be working fine now. I want to see if there's a way I can speed up the airlock. I don't know, maybe add some more vents into it. I don't know. It just seems to take quite a while to pump through. Oh, you know what? I might be able to add more passive vents on the other side. Because it's 2 active vents, but there's 1 passive vent. So it might give us more airflow if we hook up another couple more passive vents. I imagine that will probably speed it up. And close enough. All right, so what we're going to want to do then is pop that out, pop that out, turn that into a T. Oh. And then we're going to need a junction. Oh. And we need more pipe. Of course, of course. All right. There we go. I'm really hoping they'll fix that bug with the suit station here soon. Not that I've actually needed to really, use the suit station, but yeah. All right, so let's I can probably just stick it right here. We'll put it right there. Yeah, I know. I wish they would add something like that. At least with Space Engineers, it's pretty consistent. Oh, really? All right, yeah, put the power line on the opposite side. I should have known. All right, as long as this isn't... Yeah, that's not the heater line. Okay. And obviously this is temporary until... oh, it's counting it. Really? Oh, that's not going to work because it's counting that tank as being... That tank actually might be empty. Pretty much empty. There we go. And we'll do a corner. Now we'll just have to keep an eye on the line. I think we should have more than enough. A large tank should have more than enough capacity to hold basically the majority of, especially with the base being pressurized. And so if we go here, 0. Because the last thing we want to do, obviously, is explode the tank that has pretty much all the gases that we have in it. um, yeah, and we're gonna want to see. Obviously, that's gonna take a while. Let's see where we're. Oh, so yeah, they've all equalized at 10. What? Oh, the one when you pull it down. I don't know if it's like the pipes and it pushes it into the next one. There was only 142 kPa in it, so I wasn't really worried about it. Or, yeah. So I wasn't really worried about it. And it's all, the only thing it would have been was um, trace amounts of whatever it pulled out of either pollution from the base or from the greenhouse. So, I mean, it was, uh, hey, MacGyver. All right, so I'm going to let this run for a little bit. And the good thing is it's actually going to, I mean, it's going to equalize the temperature, which is nice. Because some of those were a little hot, and hopefully we'll be able to tell when we get this all hooked back up if that was what was causing the gases, the fuel mix to spontaneously combust over on the mixer over there. It's just really strange that it was doing on that one and not the one, over there by the furnace. So 3.6, 3.7. I think we should be able to hold everything. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, because we dropped it down 1 MPa, and we've only gone up. And I'm stuck. Thank you. Yeah, and so we dropped all those tanks, 6 tanks. We pulled basically 6 MPa out, and it only took this up like 2 MPa. So I think we should be good. Yeah, I know. I've debated on mining it back and forth or not, and um, I'll probably actually pull it up now since um, this is all going to be one open area. But yeah, I didn't really worry about it since there was this spot like around the whole entire base where there was so much oxides. It was insane. It was like every time I was looking for everything, it was like all I was finding is oxides at first. Um, all right, so we should be good there. Yeah, it's decoration. Yes, I need some sparkly crystals for my base. That would be kind of funny if you could place them back down. Uh, yes, obviously you're not reading any pressure. That's fine. That's what we want. Oh, actually, I pulled up the tank. So yeah, it's reading invalid. Okay. So we're hitting an hour and 24 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and call this good for this episode. I'm going to go top off my coffee uh, and stretch my legs for a minute. And then we will be back with the, yeah. Um, and then, well, it's funny too because it doesn't evaporate because it hasn't been mined. So that might actually be funny to do is later on make a base or something, and there's a couple of spots like I found that have like just a ton of, like 3 4, you get one of those big deposits that's like 3 4 ores have deposited right on top of each other. It might be kind of funny to stick a room over that or something at some point. um, yeah, so I'm gonna call this good for this episode. I'm gonna be back in about another 10 minutes, and we'll run episode 56. Pretty much pick up exactly where we are now. We're gonna let this run and drain the system. And while it's doing that, I think we're gonna go smelt some more steel. Um, which unfortunately, well, it's going to dump into the system, but either way, it'll work. Um, didn't get the last notification. Oh, what, the series that the episode started, or the stream started? Yeah, you're a few hours ahead of me. Um, but yeah, we'll make up some steel so we can make some more tanks because obviously we're gonna need more tank kits. And then we'll get into, hopefully by the time that's all done, this everything will be drained, and we can jump into basically completely making an utter mess in here and tearing all this apart so that we can make it better. All right. I hope you guys enjoy it. I will be back in, like I said, about 10 minutes, and I will see you guys in the next episode.